What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
I'm Jason.
And you are listening to an almost Christmas special of Liquid Carnage.
Man, I can't even believe it's already December. I mean, it's going by so fast.
'Tis the season to be jolly. Fa la 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 la.
Yeah, exactly.
So, over the weekend, we had a parade of lights here in town. You had one down in Phoenix. And JP and I went down to the bar to go watch it because, there's one street downtown that all our parades go on. And we didn't leave the bar because the Ohio State game was on. So, naturally, he couldn't leave the TV.
Oh, gosh.
And it was fucking cold out, so I didn't want to go outside and watch it. So I sat there and I watched a little bit from the bar while the game was on. And one of the bartenders asked me, goes, "Well, doesn't it just put you in the Christmas spirit?" I'm like, No. It's December fucking 1st. Thanksgiving was last week.
Yeah, it is very strange to have the Christmas, like all the lights are out and it's still, 4 weeks away. It's very strange. It's very awkward.
Yeah. It's like, hit me up like the week before Christmas, and then I'll be all full of holiday cheer and whatever else. But on the 1st of December, no. I'm not even there yet.
Oh, I'm with you.
Oh, man.
Well, Scott, I need you to do me a favor because for those of you who went to @liquid_EP's Twitter feed, he made a special note that I'm never, ever, ever to do the social media plug again.
That is true. He did do that. I don't understand why, because your velvet pipes are amazing as far as I'm concerned. But if you want to leave a comment about Jason's velvet pipes, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all @Liquid Carnage. Or if you disagree with Tom, our executive producer, hit him up on Twitter or Instagram, all @Liquid_EP.
Wow. That was much better. I can already see. So to our executive producer, we're already taking very good notes and making changes to the podcast on the fly.
See, we are always willing to grow. That is what this show is about. It is about growth. It is about development as human beings.
Well, this was a very bad week for me, fantasy football-wise, because I'm in 2 leagues, and we had the opportunity. I was playing the number 2 team in our league, and his best player, or one of his best players, Kareem Hunt, was disenchanted, or he's now no longer in the NFL. So I picked up the replacement thinking I'm going to get Kareem Hunt numbers, and unfortunately I got nothing.
That's always a bold move. And for those that don't follow the football sport, Kareem Hunt was a running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I say was because last week a video from a hotel in Cleveland from last February surfaced where he clearly was punching and kicking a woman. Very similar to the Ray Rice video from a few years ago, the Baltimore Ravens running back who beat up his fiance in an elevator.
It's insane. I mean, it's absolutely insane. The worst part about it was the video supposedly was taken in February. So this is now we're 11 months,
9 months
or 10 months later that it's getting, it's coming out. It's insane. Absolutely insane.
Well, I want to know. I would like to know why it took 9 months for this video to surface from the hotel. I mean, was there not a police investigation into this? Why would the hotel not turn that over to the police? Because if I saw someone getting the crap kicked out of them in a hotel that I owned, I would very much want the police to have this.
I got to be honest. If you saw Kareem Hunt walking down the street, I don't know if I would recognize him. Like, I don't know if I would be able to recognize him. So maybe they didn't put the 2 and 2 together to say, oh, that was that guy. So maybe that was the problem. I'm not sure. But it does seem kind of odd that tape has been out there for 9 months. It's just coming out now. And, the timing is so weird about the whole thing, too, because just the week before, another player from a different team got into an altercation and was arrested, and now he got kicked off of his team.
He was Reuben Foster of the San Francisco 49ers. He was released for domestic abuse.
So I mean, now we're talking 2 players within a week have been gotten in trouble with the law, or have something surfaced, and now they're both out of the league. And it just
they're
seems
not
like
both out of the league
it's
because they're not both out of the league. Reuben Foster did get picked up by the Washington Redskins. That team is full of hypocrites, especially its owner. They had no problem picking up a first-round talent, which Reuben Foster was, after this, saying, and this is the part where I don't agree with. Their spokesman came out and said, and I quote, "What he did really wasn't that big of a deal."
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that is part of the problem we have here in America, where he just tried to normalize domestic abuse.
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, this is not the first time a player has been accused of this, or has been caught up in this kind of event. I mean, it's happened before. It's not the first time. So,
not at all.
We have to put that out there first, that it happens all the time. So, I guess my first question that we can talk about is, did the team who let Kareem Hunt go, do you think they handled that situation the right way?
Oh, absolutely. My concern is did it take them 9 months to figure it out, or when did they find out? Or were they hoping to have it swept under the rug and a no harm, no foul? Because at the time, no charges were filed. So if no charges were filed by the woman that beat him up, I guess legally you can say there's no issue, but that's a gray area to me. If I'm that team, I probably would have cut him on the spot had I found out sooner.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL, it doesn't have a very good track record on this anyways. So, I mean, my thought is that I'm glad that the Kansas City Chiefs said exactly what needed to be said, which is, we see this video, we know that it's gone on, you're no longer on our team. So the question becomes that I'm glad that the team did what they did. They got rid of the guy and got him off the team. But on regular people, when they work at regular jobs, you don't hear about that as being a punishment that you would lose your employment, per se. So if you were caught on video, your employer may or may not fire you because of that.
Is that what?
Right?
Yeah, I agree. I think you can get fired for DUIs, whatever else, anything that can cause you to miss any significant amount of time, unless you have the vacation time to cover it if you have to do any jail time. But I think that's neither here nor there, really. I think there has to be some kind of morality clause in your job description that you won't do anything to break the law, or, I don't know, just to be blunt, to just not be a dick.
Yeah, well,
or be a
I mean, it seems like some of these players, they get in these kind of messes because, there's other players that have done very similar things, domestic violence and gun charges. I mean, Plaxico Burress had gun charges all the time, and other players have, gotten in trouble with the law. I don't remember them getting kicked out of the league. So I'm wondering what's changed in the environment that the NFL is right now, that now players, like, it's almost like a zero tolerance policy. It's like,
well, it's hard to figure out because they don't have a set guideline of what you should do in these scenarios depending on the criminal charges. Because if you go back to what Michael Vick did with the dog fighting, I think the majority of the world of football fans would say, you know what? He should have been banned, period. And he went to jail for a couple of years. He did his time. He came back a rehab person and played the league for another 4 or 5 years after spending 2 years in jail, something like that.
Yeah, he was in jail for 2.
I mean, it was.
I mean, he missed 3 seasons, I believe. I think he missed 3 seasons, three seasons because of the whole process. Yeah.
Yeah, and dogfighting was not something that's taken lightly either. We have Plaxico Burress, you're right, the former wide receiver that shot himself in the leg in a nightclub.
Yeah. Well, Chris,
that's just idiotic.
Yeah, it wasn't. Adam Pac-Man Jones made it rain at a strip club and caused a big brawl.
Numerous times, and once 2 weeks in a row, and he's still somehow playing in the league. So what I'm saying, I don't think there's a double standard here. I think that the professional sports recognizes that they have issues because there's a lot of the same issues in the NBA as far as domestic abuse and drug use and whatever else. And I think the biggest problem is that the bottom line is that professional sports comes down to money.
Yeah.
And whoever cash is king. So whoever has the money, makes the decisions. And if you're a player that can draw in the ratings, right, wrong, or indifferent, I somehow think that you will take a little bit of a lighter sentence than someone who may not be as, what's the word I'm looking for? Famous?
Valuable?
Well-known? Valued as you?
Yeah. Well, because, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Kareem Hunt, he was a star in this league. I mean, they didn't even mess around. I don't even think they gave him, let's prove the case first and suspend you until they prove the case. I mean, he was done. Like, they found out about it in the morning, in the afternoon, they cut him from the team.
He was a rising star. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, he was on his way up to be a very good back for a very long time in this league. And I'll give kudos to the Kansas City Chiefs for doing that with the zero tolerance policy. And that was the big talk over the weekend was, will any NFL team have the guts to try to pick him up on waivers to write out the suspension, whatever happens to him, and have him on their team? And the general consensus was at the beginning was no, that they'd be dumb to. It's almost career suicide if you're the general manager. Toward this afternoon, we're recording this on a Monday. I was reading through Twitter, killing some time, and they said that he should clear waivers here in a couple hours. And at this point, the way the league is going, most of them would not be surprised if someone like the Redskins picked him up.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. So when a team cuts you like that, do other teams have to wait? Should they wait? I mean, we saw with Reuben Foster that Washington didn't wait. They just went to town and did it. I think, so obviously, like you said, if he can help the team, they're going to pick him up, right? I mean, they're not going to shy away just because, he's damaged goods, as it were.
This is almost the exact same situation as Ray Rice a couple years ago, who was the Baltimore Ravens running back, like I mentioned earlier, punched his fiancee in an elevator, all caught on camera. He never played in the league again.
Never.
He had to go to counseling. He's rehabbed his image the best he can. But essentially the same situation. And the people that are trying to play this off as it's not that big of a deal are saying, well, he was at the end of his career and Kareem Hunt is at the beginning. So there's a strong chance Kareem Hunt gets a second chance.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's true anymore. I don't think in this world we live in right now that second chances should be given on that level, let alone will be.
Do you think that the NFL, or do you think any employer has to come up with, in today's world, they have to come up with a kind of a justice system of how to handle these types of issues, where differing violations get different penalties? Or is it a zero tolerance policy? You make this mistake, let's say it's a violation of the ethics clause, whatever they want to call it, you're done.
We're paying these people 7 figures a year, easy, 6-7 figures. They're making a lot of money to play a kid's game.
Okay.
In my opinion, there should be a zero tolerance. These are the rules you have to abide by to get paid this kind of money at a young age to set yourself up for life. It's very simple to me. You do not beat other people. You don't, participate in dogfighting, use illicit drugs, whatever else. Don't be a shitty human being. That's all you have to do. Take your vitamins, show up to practice on time, play your heart out, and you will be rewarded handsomely. And in return, we ask that you don't be a shitty person, you don't break the law, and we won't have any fucking problems. And if you do, it's zero tolerance. You're out.
Well, and I mean, while in that philosophy, our society doesn't look at it that way. I mean, how many movie stars, how many rock singers do very similar kind of things and yet still have a lucrative career, right? They still have their jobs. They still can make music. Maybe the difference is that if I'm a musician or I'm an actor, I don't work for a company. I work, I'm part of a union that gets hired onto a job, but then once the job's over, I'm done. Whereas the NFL is a private company that can set its own rules and and make people abide by those rules. And then it kind of makes me think about Colin Kaepernick. Like, he hasn't been able to get a job in 3 years. Is his ethical violation worse or different than what these two players have been accused of doing?
Well, one, I don't think what he did is an ethical violation. I think he's standing up for himself, and he's standing up for the rights of
Right.
minorities. And I think the biggest problem is that he won't get signed by any other NFL team because those owners don't want to lose sponsorship dollars. For as much money as Nike paid Kaepernick to be the face of their company and other things, the backlash that they are afraid of from the uneducated right-wing sector isn't worth the risk to them.
Well, and I think that's the thing that's been in my craw a little bit lately is, you know, we're talking that Kareem Hunt, Reuben Foster, they might be able to get to play again. And what they've done is far worse, in my opinion, than what Colin Kaepernick did. So what does that say about these owners? Yeah. What does that say about – I mean, because I got to be honest, Colin Kaepernick didn't even break a law. He hasn't even done anything illegal. Right?
No.
And he is out of the league.
The only thing I would
he's
say
out of the league, and then these guys can horrible alleged, well, not alleged, I guess the video shows that he kicked that girl. So, I mean, so he's going to get a chance to get a job. What does that say about the NFL and what they stand for?
It goes back to what I said earlier. Cash is king. These guys can help them win, and it's a black eye on the image, but people will forget about that in their minds. Short-term memory when it comes to the criminal issues. But it's a very patriotic time. It's a very sensitive time for American politics right now. And as you can tell, people do not forget the kneeling one way or the other, right, wrong, or indifferent. And that goes back to that could cost someone dollars. That could cost someone money. Now, if you ask me, the last couple of years Kaepernick played, he was not a good quarterback. He had a lot more interceptions than touchdowns. His ratings were poor. That's why I would say he wasn't signed prior, and then maybe just time took over. But now it's more of an issue than anything else because everyone's convinced it's a political thing.
Yeah, and that's a bigger crime against the NFL than a man who kicks women, right?
And in their mind, yes, because that costs them sponsorship.
Yeah. And I mean, I find it's just funny how things like someone can do drugs and they'll get a 3-game suspension. That's breaking the law too, but you know, it's only drugs. Yeah, right. So like Josh Gordon, I mean, it's only marijuana. Like it's not a big deal. So you can play again. Well, wait a minute. We either have an ethical clause or we don't. I mean, Cleveland gave that guy 4 breaks, 4 chances. So obviously it's all about, can you make our team better? Can you make us better? And I find it just interesting that the NFL and these owners have a very subjective view of what's an ethical violation and what's not.
Oh, I agree completely. Yeah. It's cash is king at the end of the day, and I've said that numerous times this show this week. And it's sad. It shouldn't be like that. And that sends a very bad example to the kids that are watching and to the people that are avid fans of the sport. It sends a very poor message as to what is okay and what's not okay. And like I said earlier, it normalizes it. And that is not something that should ever be normalized.
Do you think that the power and the money of being a professional athlete is what entitles these people to act this way?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone, you make that kind of money at that young age because you haven't had enough life experience yet. I am willing to bet you believe you are above the law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is the problem. You know, some of it might be nature versus nurture. It's just your nature or just the environment you've grown up in that this is how you react. But when you have millions of dollars at your fingertips and you do this, you are not above anybody. A lawyer cannot get him out of what that video showed.
Yeah.
You know, and that is the biggest thing they can learn out of this is just because you can does not mean you should.
What do you think the characteristics or characteristic, maybe it's only one. What do you think the characteristic is to differentiate between a Kareem Hunt and a Larry Fitzgerald?
I character. You know, both men were, well, Kareem Hunt was a later round draft pick. Larry Fitzgerald was number 3 overall. So I think maybe Fitzgerald had money earlier on, and his home life. If you watch anything on Larry Fitzgerald, his mother and his father were very big influences on him, and they made sure that they went out of their way to make sure he wasn't an idiot. They sent him to finishing school or a military academy, when his grades weren't up to par in high school. So he spent another year between high school and college going to school, making himself grow up.
And it seems like in the NFL, we always focus on these kind of bad case scenarios where it's just, everything is horrible and these people do. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I don't care who you are. You don't kick people. You don't push people, man or woman. Like Ray Rice, you don't. That's the woman that you say you love. You don't cold cock her. I just don't understand it. That being said,
do you remember the first thing you should have learned in kindergarten? Keep your hands to yourself.
You don't hit people. I mean,
don't hit people. Keep hands to yourself. Treat everybody with respect.
Now, obviously, not everyone's learned that, but I would say that I'm not even sure. Like, I wonder if Kareem Hunt, Reuben Foster even have any sort of sense of, wow, I really messed that up. I did something wrong, or man, I got caught and now I lost my job. I mean, what, you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
I would say both. I would say Kareem Hunt more than Foster because he hasn't been picked up. Foster will play again because there's zero ethics and on the Redskins organization. But Kareem Hunt has a much longer road ahead of him. And I think and they basically did the same thing, but the only difference is there's video of Kareem Hunt's incident. And as long as there's video of something like that, it will haunt people because you can't get away from that.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest difference. It should be the same for both across the board. They should be gone for good. But the fact that there's video for one, the one with the video is gonna bear the brunt of the punishment.
Now, do you buy into the argument though that because these players surround themselves with money and friends, that some of the people who are accusing of bad things, I mean, you have a target on your back that, like the girl with Reuben Foster, I mean, she's made claims against him before and then retracted the claim saying it never happened. So, so I'm sure that these players deal with that. I mean, you hear about the ones that, baby mamas that are all over the place. And, so I can buy into the argument that, hey, there's a target on my back. I'm innocent of doing this. But like you said, when I have a video showing that you're kicking someone and pushing them and doing that, you have no excuse, dude. Like, you have no argument that is going to fly. And, like you said, good people in the NFL, they don't get themselves in these situations. Yeah. You don't hear about Larry Fitzgerald punching some girl in the face. You just don't hear it. Why? Because he doesn't put himself in a situation that he's going to have to do that.
In fairness, though, when he was younger, he did drag his girlfriend out of the house by her hair. There was a police report on that.
Ooh.
That was many years ago. And actually, it was his first baby mama is my junior high coach, gym teacher's daughter.
No way.
Follow that bouncing ball. Yeah.
Wow.
She was a Raiderette. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and there you go right there. I mean, so that if that had happened today, who knows what would have happened to Larry Fitzgerald's career?
Oh, absolutely.
So times have definitely have progressed because, 15 years ago, that may not even have, well, obviously didn't derail his career, right? I mean, he's got to play football.
But at the end of the day, this transcends sports because, you're right, like you said earlier, this happens everywhere in life. Yeah. And when it happens everywhere in life, it's, do the same basic rules and principles apply to your regular job? Do they not? Is it different if one of your buddies beat his significant other or whatnot, and then your other buddy had a video of them beating theirs? Whose was worse? These are all things that I think we have to take a step back and look at as individuals too. And
I can
ask ourselves, why are we doing
Yeah.
this? So why are we even allowing this to happen?
Yeah, I can honestly tell you, if I had even an inkling of suspicion that one of my friends was hitting his wife, I would have a problem with it. I would have a problem with it. I don't know if I'd beat them, but I would definitely have a problem with it. I would pull them aside and say, this is not right. This is wrong for you to do. I mean, I would be outraged. And frankly, I would probably say, you know what? My friends don't do that. I only say that because I read an article, or I can't remember where I read it, but I was reading it about how Kansas City was handling this. And they have a young quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. He's like the star of the league right now. And he said something that just kind of stuck with me. He said, when they asked him about Kareem Hunt, he said, you know what? We don't do that in Kansas City. We don't do that. So he's like saying, look, that's not what our team is about. So I'm okay with him leaving because he represents all of us, you know? And I thought, very insightful for a young man to say that, hey, you know what? Yeah, it hurts us as a team because we don't have a very good player, but it also hurts us as a reputation and lumps us together with someone who does that. We don't do that. So I don't want someone who does do that.
Well, I'll go on record right now saying if I find that any of my friends ever do that, I'll tell them right to their face, whatever you do to your wife next, physically like that, I get to do to you. And I won't even think twice about it.
And I mean, I guess it's just I don't want to be around people who feel that that's how you handle a situation that's not going the way you like. Is, you know, because let's be honest. I mean, Kareem Hunt, he's a football player. He's strong. He's a big guy, strong guy, fast guy. So, how did this girl threaten you to a point where you felt like you were in danger to do what you did? I mean, I just can't even understand how to justify it. And, you know, let's be honest. I mean, I date a strong woman. You've dated strong women. There's no way that Noreen could hurt me. I mean, there's just no way that she could hurt me with her fist. Now, if she took a baseball bat to my face, which, you know, I'm sure there's been one or two times in her life that she's probably wanted to. Other than something like that, there's no way that she could hurt me. So it wouldn't even cross my mind. I could hurt her if I, you know, pushed her or whatever. That even beside the point, if I had friends who thought that that was an acceptable way to treat people, they wouldn't be my friends. That wouldn't be it. So like Patrick Mahomes said, hey, we don't do this. You know, maybe that's the whole thing that comes out of this. We do this in this country. We don't need to do that. And I know it happens.
Well, we definitely don't. We definitely don't do this on Liquid Courage.
No, we love men and women who listen to Liquid Carnage, and we love that. We love those people.
So give us your thoughts on the currents, if you watch the football sport or just domestic violence in general. What would you do in that scenario if you knew someone that you were friends with was beating their significant other? Hit us up again on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage. If you want to see maybe Tom at some point try to assault Jason and with a throat punch like he's been promising, hit Tom up at Liquid_EP.
I love it, dude. I think that was well said. And that social media plug was perfect. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm taking notes from our executive producer.
That's right. I mean, and he did it, so we're good.
That's exactly it. All right, buddy. It's been a good show. It's been a very productive show, but I think once again it is time for you to take us home.
Hey, thanks everyone for listening. We really appreciate it. I know that we bring up interesting topics, just having off the cusp talking points, but you know, hit us up on our social media pages to tell us what you think. We always love having you on the show, listening to us. That was Scott. I am Jason, and as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Carnage.